In the heart of a dark and dangerous mountain range stands the Shadow Spire, a tall, menacing tower shrouded in smoke and mist. The path to it is treacherous, filled with deadly traps and strange, mutated creatures. Inside the spire, the walls are cold and damp, and the air smells of burning chemicals. A scientist, disheveled and wild-eyed, stands before a large tank filled with murky green liquid. His fingers twitch as he adjusts the dials on his machines. Before him lies a monstrous creature, a giant beast covered in scales, its glowing eyes full of hunger and fury. "This is just the beginning," the scientist whispers to himself. His voice echoes off the stone walls, though no one is there to hear it. The creature stirs, its claws scraping the glass. The scientist's smile widens. He steps closer, his heart racing with excitement. But as he leans in to inspect his creation, something goes wrong. The creature's massive form shifts violently, shattering the glass. Water floods the room. The scientist stumbles backward, panic seeping into his veins. The beast roars, shaking the foundations of the tower. But the scientist, blinded by his obsession, doesn't see the true danger in front of him. This is no mindless animal. This creature is smarter, more dangerous than he ever realized, and it's free. Meanwhile, in Ironcliff, a large dark room buzzes with tension. The grand hall, usually filled with laughter and trade deals, is now silent, save for the murmur of worried voices. The leaders of Lewistone, Hollowbrook, Greenfield Village, Canhill, Silverpine, Duskport, and Ravenshade sit around a long oak table. Ironcliff is a city known for its hustle and bustle, a city where anything can be bought or sold. But today, there's an air of dread. They've all heard the stories. Creatures unlike any they've seen before have been coming from Moonshade Forest, and the attacks on their villages are becoming more frequent and more brutal. "We can't ignore this any longer," the leader of Ironcliff says, his voice heavy with concern. "These beasts are unlike anything we've ever faced. If we don't stop them, we'll lose everything." The room falls silent. The leaders exchange worried glances. The creatures aren't just attacking, they're hunting. "We need more warriors," the leader of Hollowbrook speaks up, his voice tight with urgency. "We need to send scouts, gather an army." The leader of Lewistone stands, his fists clenched. "The people of Lewiston will fight, but we must act quickly." "But how do we stop what we don't understand?" the leader of Silverpine asks, fear creeping into his words. The atmosphere in the room grows heavier. Every leader knows that this may be their last chance to stop the creatures before they strike again. Back in the quiet village of Ravenshade, the evening air is thick with tension. John Reiser, a 22-year-old young man with fiery ambition and a sharp mind, sits in the village square, sharpening his sword with a keen eye. The boy is sharp, both in mind and skill, the finest sword fighter in his village despite his youth. He's always dreamed of something more, a life beyond the forest's edges, a life of legend and glory. His father, James Reiser, the head leader of Ravenshade, returns from the meeting in Ironcliff. His face is weary, his steps slow with the weight of what he has just heard. He walks into their humble home and sits heavily by the fire. "We are in grave danger," James says, his voice low and tired. "The creatures from Moonshade Forest, they're coming closer. We must prepare." John listens closely, but his thoughts are elsewhere. He's never been one to follow the path set for him. Even as a child, he dreamed of the legends of Ironcliff, the great warriors, the skilled sword fighters, and the glory that came with them. But his father, a man of tradition, couldn't understand his hunger for adventure. "I want to go to Ironcliff," John says, his voice filled with quiet determination. "I want to learn from the greatest warriors, to fight like the legends. I'll come back stronger, and I'll protect this village." James Reiser looks at his son, his eyes filled with concern. "You don't understand, John. The world beyond these woods is dangerous. Ironcliff is far away, and those creatures, they're a threat to all of us. Your place is here, with your people." "But, Father," John pleads, "the warriors in Ironcliff are unlike any I've ever seen. If I can learn from them, I can protect Ravenshade and even fight back against these creatures." James shakes his head slowly, the weight of the decision too heavy. "I can't let you go, son. Not now." John stands up from his seat, fire in his eyes. "I'm going, Father. I will learn the sword skills, and I will become more than just a village protector. I will be a warrior, one who can defend this land, not just with strength, but with skill and strategy." James remains silent for a moment, then speaks quietly, his voice laced with both love and fear. "I don't want to lose you, John, but you're a man now. You must follow your heart." With his father's reluctant blessing, John begins to pack his things. His mother, Lily Reiser, watches him quietly, her face a mixture of concern and pride. His sister, Elena Reiser, stands beside their mother, her voice soft but firm. "You're really doing this, aren't you?" Elena asks, her eyes searching his face. John smiles, trying to reassure her. "I have to, Elena. The village needs me. I need to do this, for all of us." His brother, Robert Reiser, who's always been the more cautious and protective of the siblings, steps forward. "I don't like this, John. It's dangerous, and you're not ready for what's out there." But John's mind is made up. "I am ready. I've trained my whole life for this moment." His uncle, Aaron Reiser, the assistant leader of Ravenshade, watches from the doorway. He's always been like a second father to John, guiding him since childhood. "You're not going alone," Aaron says, his voice firm but warm. "I'm coming with you." John looks at his uncle, surprised but grateful. "But the journey is dangerous. I didn't want to burden you." "Burden?" Aaron chuckles softly. "There's no place I'd rather be than by your side, especially with what's coming. If we're going to face this, we do it together." And so, with his uncle by his side, John prepares to leave the village. The journey to Ironcliff is long and fraught with danger, but John is determined. As the sun sets behind them, they ride off into the unknown, ready for the adventure that awaits, and the battle that may determine the fate of their world. As John and Aaron Reiser travel through dense forests and rugged terrain, the days grow long and tiresome. Their journey to Ironcliff has been filled with breathtaking landscapes, but the air is heavy with an unspoken tension. Something feels wrong. The sun barely shines through the thick clouds, casting an eerie grey shadow over the path ahead. On the third night, as they camp by the edge of a river, they hear it. A distant, blood-curdling roar that echoes through the trees. It's a sound unlike any beast John has ever heard. It's unnatural, otherworldly. "What was that?" John whispers, his hand instinctively reaching for the hilt of his sword. Aaron stands up, his posture tense. "Stay close. We're not alone." John's heart races. He can feel it in his bones. Something is watching them. The wind picks up, carrying with it a strange, sulphurous scent. The same smell John remembers from the stories of the creatures from Moonshade Forest. His mind races as he tries to recall the tales. The monsters were said to be able to track their prey with unsettling accuracy. A flicker of movement catches John's. He turns, but sees nothing. Just the shadow of trees swaying in the wind. "We need to move. Now," Aaron mutters, his voice low. But before they can pack their things, a shadow darts across the camp. A low growl rumbles from the darkness. John and Aaron freeze, eyes scanning the surrounding trees. From the forest's edge, a pair of glowing eyes peer through the underbrush. And then, a second set, and a third. "They've found us," Aaron says, his voice tight with urgency. John stands tall, drawing his sword. "We're ready. Whatever comes, we'll fight."